As a result of the ongoing economic crisis in Sri Lanka, millions of people are facing acute shortages of food, fuel, cooking gas, and medication. This has elevated the situation to the level of a humanitarian disaster. After the previous administration's restriction on artificial fertilizers dramatically reduced agricultural production, the current Prime Minister is sounding the alarm about the possibility of a food crisis. Is Sri Lanka's food problem a result of human activity? As a direct result of the unfathomable decline in the country's economy, Sri Lanka is now going through a horrific ordeal. The country of Sri Lanka is currently experiencing its greatest economic crisis. Do you know why the situation in Sri Lanka is worst today? Hey guys, welcome to Studying Scholar. In today's video, we will tell you about Sri Lanka's daily need and food shortage. So stay with us till the end of this video so you don't miss out on any of this information, and let's get started. Food has become unaffordable for a portion of the population in Sri Lanka as a direct result of a significant decline in agricultural production there, which has been compounded by increases in the cost of fuel and other essential food items. The government has predicted that food shortages will occur over the next few months. It is anticipated that just 24% of the area that is normally farmed has been farmed in preparation for the forthcoming season. According to recent polls, up to 70% of households have been forced to cut back on their food intake as a result of the 73% increase in the cost of food over the past 2 years. As a result of Sri Lanka's continued descent into economic disarray, the cost of commonly consumed foods has soared. At the Federation of Self-Employees Market in the Petta neighborhood of Colombo, the price of 1 kilogram of tomatoes is 150 Sri Lankan rupees. At the vegetable market in Petta, a kilo of onions can be purchased for the equivalent of 200 Sri Lankan rupees, while a kilo of potatoes can be purchased for 220 rupees. At the market, a kilo of carrots can be purchased for Sri Lankan for Rs 490, while 250 grams of garlic can be purchased for Sri Lankan for Rs 160. In addition, those who sell vegetables have reported that the cost of transportation, bringing in the product, and maintaining its safety have increased significantly. In addition to the fact that grocery costs have hit all-time highs in the country, there is now a shortage of fuel in the country as well. The emergency ambulance service that was provided in 1990 has also been halted in a number of regions around the country. The Suwa Saria ambulance service strongly recommended that members of the general refrain from dialing the 1990 emergency ambulance service number. Mahesh Gunasekara, the Secretary General of Sri Lanka Red Cross, said, "For those who are already struggling to put food on the table due to the COVID-19 outbreak, the situation has taken a tragic turn. Families with just one parent, people without regular employment, and people who have already experienced an income loss all have it worse. To help hundreds of thousands of people put their lives back together, we urgently need international assistance. Rebuilding and regaining control of one's life will be a long and difficult process for many." The country's hospitals have reported shortages of crucial drugs and other medical supplies, and the country also suffers from regular power outages, both of which disrupt the delivery of health care. Around 50% of all medical procedures in the nation have been rendered ineffective due to a lack of available drugs. The multifaceted catastrophe that has befallen Sri Lanka has unavoidably resulted in the emergence of additional protection challenges on top of the pre-existing chronic inequities that have been encountered by its people. It is estimated that there are 5.7 million individuals across the country who are in need of humanitarian help in 25 different areas. Is the economic crisis of Sri Lanka alarmed other countries too? Want to know more on this? Subscribe to our channel. What are the primary factors contributing to Sri Lanka's current economic predicament? The lack of available foreign cash is the root cause of Sri Lanka's deteriorating economic situation. This has resulted in a significant decrease in the country's ability to simply import the vital items that it formerly did. As is common knowledge, Sri Lanka has a significant reliance on foreign imports. It imports petrol, gasoline, food, sugar, lentils, paper, medications, etc. There is now no money in the nation's FX accounts, thus the government is unable to purchase all of this for its people. Government's condition. Sri Lanka paid a great price for balancing China and India to get economic gains because this tactic simply delayed the inevitable economic collapse. The Sri Lankan government proclaimed a state of emergency throughout the nation on April 1, 2022. To avoid any default on the repayment of its international debt, the Sri Lankan government was forced to sell its gold reserves and enter into currency swap arrangements with China and India. The issue in Sri Lanka is a result of China's previous debt trap policy. This shows totally a corrupt face of Sri Lankan government. Since of the severity of the issue, the island country is unable to hold examinations for its pupils because there is not enough paper. Recently, in response to a lack of available crude oil supplies, the government decided to halt operations at the country's oil refineries. The country's primary source of revenue, tourism, experienced a significant decline as a result. The majority of Sri Lanka's foreign currency was earned from tourism. During his address to the nation 1 week ago, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa confessed that the country is currently suffering from a trade imbalance of approximately $10 billion. The nation imported a greater quantity than it was able to ship abroad. The Colombo bomb blasts in 2019 and COVID-19 led to a decline in tourism, which was responsible for 10% of the country's GDP before the decline. The suffering in Sri Lanka should serve as a lesson to all of us about the global food, fuel, and financial crises. What is your opinion? Do let us know in the comment box. The effects of the ongoing economic and food crises are being felt acutely by the general populace. According to the most recent food security assessment conducted by the WFP, almost 1/3 of all families, or 6.26 million people, are food insecure, with 65,600 of those homes being seriously food insecure. In June 2022, the inflation rate for food reached a dangerously high level of 57.4%. The inability of the general people to purchase appropriate quantities of healthy food at affordable costs has been severely hampered by recent price increases in food commodities. The majority of families, 61%, that were tested are using food-based coping methods on a regular basis. These techniques include consuming food that is less liked and less nutritious and cutting back on the amount of food that they consume. 2 out of every 5 households do not consume diets that are sufficient. According to the recent Crop and Food Security Assessment Mission conducted by the World Food Program and the Food and Agriculture Organization, the food security and nutrition situation in Sri Lanka is expected to deteriorate as the economic crisis continues. It was estimated that 6.3 million people in the U.S. do not have reliable access to sufficient food. At least 65,600 of these persons are considered to be in a state of extreme food insecurity. People are having a tougher time satisfying their dietary requirements as a direct result of spiraling food prices. The preceding 3 months have seen a precipitous drop in income. It was stated that the income of approximately 1 in every 5 households has been slashed in half. 5 million individuals are resorting to crisis or emergency livelihood coping techniques in order to make it through the shortage of food. These tactics are expected to have an effect on their medium to long-term capacity for income-generating activities as well as their food security. Sri Lanka is going through its worst period. To get updated with the latest condition of Sri Lanka, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more updates. There are currently 6.7 million people in Sri Lanka who are in immediate need of some form of humanitarian aid. The current economic crisis in Sri Lanka is quickly becoming one of the country's biggest humanitarian disasters in decades. As a result of the escalating effects of the economic crisis on society as a whole, millions of households are struggling to meet their basic needs due to a lack of food, fuel, cooking gas, other critical goods, and medications. The International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent has particularly grave concerns regarding the 2.4 million people who are already living below the poverty line. These individuals are among those who are among the most affected by the loss of livelihoods, food shortages, and the spiraling cost of essential items. What actions can Sri Lanka take to make things better? The significance of resuming imports that address the shortages of critical products appears to be paramount. Any endeavor to restore normalcy will be fruitless without necessary medications, energy, and food grains. However, this won't be achievable unless it restructures its debt and receives a rescue from the IMF or one of its neighboring nations. It won't be able to afford imports without this. According to Sri Lanka, it will require $1.5 billion to get over the crisis quickly and begin imports of necessities, a bailout from the IMF that requires the return of non-organic farming practices, the reduction of populist tax regimes, and an increase in government revenue through more effective. And that's it for today, guys. We sincerely hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please click on the like button and share it with your friends and family. If you have any questions or comments, please share them with us in the comment space below. I see you find the video interesting, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for future updates. You can also check out our other videos that have been specially selected for you. We'll catch up in the next video.